trying to concentrate now on interviewing people about content, what's important out there in the industry, why people do what they do. So I'm really going to be asking you about your career and how you're aiding in certain ways in the industry, getting your sage advice for people who need it.
So the company is called David Magdael and Associates, and we work on publicity, marketing, and strategy for mostly documentary films and independent films. Films is kind of like where we really excel and where I like to be. And so I have the best job in the world, because if I react to a film, I can take that reaction, hopefully take it to the next level so that we can get more exposure and to bring that to the world. For me personally, it's like, as an Asian American, I'm Filipino American. I just really want to incubate and, help bring up our future generations of the content creators that are Asian American, Filipino American, anything that's POC, because I think a lot of these creators don't get the opportunities that some of the mainstream people do. So I really want our stories to be told by our people. Like in 1999, someone that I knew from that film festival who's a filmmaker going to school at NYU calls me and he said, "Hey, my girlfriend, who we're both students at NYU, just got nominated for an Oscar for a short documentary. Would you do our Oscar campaign?" I'm like, ooh, who's ever going to, who's ever going to be asking me this?
I know. Did your ears perk up immediately?
I'm like, you know what it was? I was like, oh yes, I could do that. I remember when I was younger.
Passion for film. You love film. You were a fan of film before you even started doing publicity in the film industry.
And it's so funny you said that, because I think about when my mother had asked me, and I don't know why this sticks in my head. She was, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" I said, "I want to be an usher at the movie theater." And so she looked at me like, "Are you crazy?" She goes, "But why?" She said, "Because then I said, like, well, because then I can watch the movies all day." That's where it kind of like, started.
The impetus.
Yeah, it just was at the beginning.
Your publicity and your strategic planning, don't you feel that's kind of interwoven with your previous history in healthcare? Like, since you did learn how to communicate with community on very sensitive topics, which is so hard to do, it must have been a kind of natural progression to also then represent passion projects, movies, and get your strategy and planning out there like you did previously.
Exactly that. I mean, so when I look back at what my work career was, I never thought I would ever have my own company. Knock on wood, I do have it. And it's been really great. It's been a learning curve, because it was like, I didn't like, oh, I'm going to have my own, I'm going to major in business and come out and have my own business. I was like, I'm not sure what I want to do.
Yeah,
so,
that's normal.
But I look back, and prior to me going into public affairs, if anything, that prepared me for what I'm doing, just looking at all the different departments that you had to have that had to be in sync with each other. And that's something that we do on a daily basis, for us doing strategy, figuring out how does broadcasters work together with the filmmakers, making sure they're happy, making sure that, and then making sure that we get our point across.
How do you strategize getting diversity out there? I know you started the group Open Your Eyes and Think MF.
You did your research. Okay, so history on. So the background on Open Your Eyes and Think MF, and we are an LLC. But let's just make it for, so last, in 2020, the pandemic happened, right? Yeah. And we were in lockdown and we weren't going to festivals. I kept thinking, maybe the system that we all bought into wasn't working for everybody. Maybe it's time that we, think about what can we do, not necessarily to change it up 100%, but like, how do we amplify it in a way that makes it a lot more inclusive? As we had been working on a film since 2018 called Mr. Soul. Fast forward to 2020, we were still trying to find a distributor. And then we started to notice, so my colleague that we worked together, Vince Johnson, and I said, I just feel weird that we're just sitting here, George Floyd dies. Yeah. And it's like, that made, if that didn't wake you up as an American, then something's wrong, right? And I just thought, what can we do? Because Black Lives Matter protests were going on outside. So I thought, what can we do to be part of the change, to be part of the revolution? And we were sitting there, we saw that virtual cinema was starting to work. Yeah. People were hungry for content. I was hungry for content. So I called up the director, and first thing she goes, "Oh, we don't have a distributor." I said, "Forget that. Let's do it ourselves." Love it. And I talked to Vince, and I said, "Why don't we start our own platform through Eventive?" Eventive is a platform that you can rent out, and then it basically you can, show the films on there. And we're going to call it Open Your Eyes and Think MF. And for those who don't know, MF stands for Monday through Friday. That's my story, and
I love it, and you're sticking to it.
By mid-September, we were at 92 theaters, and it was just, I felt that we had to do something, that we were part of the quote unquote revolution or the change, something that was impacting something. I mean, like I said, it's just, we wanted to change the system in a way that worked for the filmmakers and for these theaters that were suffering because they were shuttered. And this was our way. So that way, when I look back and say in a couple of years, like, what did you do during pandemic? What did you do when George Floyd died? What did you do during the revolution of the 2020s? Well, this is what we did. We wanted to change the conversation and support filmmakers. What I enjoyed about that was there was a film that we had at Sundance. The same year, we had Super Size Me by Morgan Spurlock. We had Imelda by Ramona Diaz. We had a film called Dirty Work. And then we had this one film that was called Control Room by Jehane Noujaim. Control Room was about Al Jazeera TV and all that went down and there. And they brought one of the producers from Al Jazeera TV to Sundance to be part of the discussion. Your
honeypot is really, like I said, supporting the storytellers that are telling their story.
Yeah. No, and that's the other thing. That's what, someone said, well, how do you get to pick? You always pick such great films. I said, they have to speak to me, or they have to speak to somebody on our team, and we all have the same attitude. There's 4 of us that work here, and it's like, some people may not like certain things on films, but it's like, and maybe I'm not feeling it, but someone else like, oh no, this is why it's in, and you let them take the lead. But at the end of the day, it's really about working on films that can hopefully help influence perspective. Maybe change perspectives. I don't know. But also, if it can entertain you, yay. If it can, as long as it's moving you, it can move you to tears, move you to action, move you to laughter. And I think that's what, we always kind of want to be about. If you look at the films that we worked on over the years, it's just, they all kind of have that same kind of feeling. It's just, they're out there, for the purpose, not just entertainment, but also maybe for education, but, just, it has to move you, because I believe that.